job regardless of the obstacles. Number 12 is unselfishness, and this is giving credit where credit is due. I saw this morning here in your organization. One leader said, yes, we did a great job, but let me show you who really was responsible for that. And they brought in and showed me who had been responsible for making that happen. That's giving credit for where credit is due. Never saying, oh, thanks, yeah, I did a great job, when it was a team that did it. So how do we, and Mother Teresa was a great example here of unselfishness. So how do we do this in our everyday life? Well, we recognize when someone compliments us, we tell them who is responsible. But also, if it's our teacher, our boss, somebody that's complimenting us, we should pass that down to the team that did do it. So we should go to our team and say, you know, the president said we did a great job, and I want to share that with you, because they need to know that. Help other people with mundane tasks. Not all the time, but every once in a while we all need help. Step in and help them. Good leaders aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Leading sometimes means leading from the side as well as from leading from the front. Make a sincere and honest attempt to look at situations from the other point of view. And each week, make sure you tell people when they're doing a good job. When somebody's been helpful to you, thank them. When someone has done something for you, acknowledge that. Number 13 is loyalty. This is the quality of faithfulness to your principles, your country, your organization, and your superiors, and those who work for you. Again, your history shows a great example of loyalty. So to practice loyalty, stand up for your organization. If someone's talking bad about your school, stop them. Share information so that gives them a clearer picture of why it's a great organization. If someone is talking about your friend, stand up for them. Someone is talking about your team, stand up for them. Loyalty is about putting others ahead of yourself. And the last one is judgment. Good leaders have good judgment, but judgment is developed over time. Judgment is about the ability to weigh facts. It's very, very similar to decisions, but it's about weighing facts and the possible consequences and solutions so that you make a sound decision. My example here of Captain Sullenberger, he's the gentleman who landed the plane in the Hudson River in New York after birds had flown into his engines. And he, instead of crash landing, he made a miraculous decision to land on the Hudson River. And he saved over 300 people by doing that. He had to make a very snap decision in a matter of 20 seconds or so. But he knew, he had the knowledge, he had the confidence, he knew what the consequences of his decisions were, so he was able to use good judgment in making that decision. So look at the possible effects of what you're about to do, visualize it from another person's point of view, and just understand what the consequences are. That's how we demonstrate good judgment. So is this a lot? No leader is going to have all 14 of these characteristics and be strong at them. We each are going to have some of these that we do well, and we're going to have some of these that we don't do well. But I would challenge you to look at the ones that you think you're strong in and build those. Rather than trying to overcome the weak areas, build on your strengths. Choose a couple and start practicing them. And maybe every week you take a different characteristic and you just find ways to practice them in your everyday life. That's how leaders build their own skill, is they practice it every day when people are watching and when people are not watching. Leadership is built, remember, by our daily activities. All right, well, I would like to introduce my colleague, Mick Thomas, and he is going to talk to us about communications. So, Mick?
Good afternoon. With the timing that we have in terms of timing starting and understanding commitments, particularly for many of the students, we're going to wrap up the program here, so I won't cover the communications section, but what I'd like to do is really briefly build on some of what Debbie mentioned with respect to the traits, and then just a couple of brief closing comments before we wrap up. So if you think about the traits, that's a pretty impressive list. It's a great list. At times maybe it's a daunting list of traits that, while I and Peregrine would certainly wish that everybody aspire to becoming excellent in all of those areas, when you think about it from a practical point of view, that's pretty hard to do. And so I think it's really, really important that you think about the two obvious aspects of, so which of those traits should I focus on? And where am I going to get the information to help me make that determination? Is it feedback from peers? Is it for formal performance feedback? Is it self-assessment of strengths and weaknesses? So it can come from many different forms, but having made that, so make that determination and prioritize, and then as Debbie said, then pick one or maybe two and focus on that. And you can do that as simply as saying that to yourself and making a commitment to perhaps one or two other people that you focus, I'm going to focus on this trait or maybe this aspect of this trait for the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to do it in this way, and I'm going to observe the outcomes that are different as a result of me doing that, and I'm also going to look out for what other people are doing in the way of behaviours to exhibit that trait as well. So those are the sorts of things that you can do. But one thing that's really, really important in making that determination of prioritization is thinking about your strengths and thinking about your weaknesses. There really is a tendency for us to think about all of these areas and say, okay, Mick, you're pretty good in being decisive, but maybe you're not so strong on initiative, for example. So I'm going to go focus on initiative, or I'm going to go focus on this other area that's a weakness. That's the natural tendency to do that. Research has shown us that every one of us will grow and improve the most in our areas of strength. So think about that. We will grow and improve the most in our areas of strength. I'm Mick Thomas. I was born in a small country town in rural Australia, pretty close to the desert area, about 2/3 of Australia's desert. Doesn't really have any people there. And I grew up pretty close to that area. Small town, few hundred people on a good day. And then at the age of 17, I moved to a city of 3 million people, and here I am now standing in front of this wonderful audience. So I'd like to talk through just a little bit of that journey without boring you, and just make a couple of summary comments around that. So after I moved to university, I did an engineering degree. So what's an engineer doing standing up in front of you talking about leadership? So I worked in engineering field for maybe 3 months after I finished my degree. I worked in sales and marketing. I had the privilege of relocating from Australia and living in Hong Kong for 4 years, which was a fantastic experience. I then developed some skills and some responsibilities in environment, health and safety. I moved into learning and training in the corporate world. I relocated to the US and lived in America for 14 years in a whole range of different responsibilities: environment, health, safety, training, human resource management, continuous improvement, Six Sigma, a whole variety of different areas. Then ultimately, after working for some small and medium-sized private and non-profit organisations, I moved into higher education because I always had an interest in being able to participate and contribute in higher education. And then from higher education, I recently joined the Peregrine organisation. Why am I saying all of that? Because here I am today coming to a small country town, and I'm standing in front of an audience here that represents a world-class institution, world-class facilities, world-class faculty, and getting a world-class education. And I know you've heard this from other people, and I know you hear it from, hopefully you'll hear it from lots of others, but please, please do everything you can every day to maximize that opportunity you have in front of you. Because not every institution out there is world-class, and you're at a world-class institution. So take the most advantage of that, challenge your professors so that they can help you learn the most that you can there, so that you can be successful in a successful society going forward. So, you know, not necessarily follow a career path like I did, follow your own path, but your path can be many and varied, and its chances are it's not going to be what you envisage it be today. But whatever it is, you can make it good. So let's leave it at that for today. Is there anybody else that needs to speak or wrap up? No. So that's the finish of the presentation today. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry we didn't quite get through all of the material, but hopefully you saw some value in that, and please heed the warnings.
I just want to take a minute of your time. I'm sure you enjoyed the last 1.5 hours of the leadership program. If you have any feedback or any of that sort, you can mail us, or you can tell your faculty to send your comments or anything of that sort. All right. Just one quick thing I want to tell you guys is that your school is looking to international accreditation today. You know what international accreditation is? You know what it is? It's a process by which different aspects of your school would be gauged, and your performance would be compared with the best benchmarks that are available elsewhere in the world. And this will not be done like the rating and ranking. By the way, I'm the guy who introduced the rating and ranking in this country. I think I made a mistake, frankly. Because there are too many ratings, and everybody is number 1 and everybody is number 10 and so on. But then it helps in some extent project certain schools which otherwise would not have been noticed who are very good. In fact, your school was one of such beneficiaries. Intentionally or otherwise, your school was keeping a very low profile. In this world, I just want to tell you is that you guys as IPE was keeping a very low profile. And if you're not a very high profile person, people don't notice. If you're over smart, people will start hating you. Okay? So you have to strike a balance somewhere there, right? Now, after the rating and ranking started in this country, we started it in 2000. I was the executive editor of Business India magazine. And this is where we started the rating and ranking in a scientific way in this country. We started identifying certain schools as being the best, but they are very quiet. They are like, staying there, they are doing their job, nobody is really noticing them, but they are very good. So we picked them up and then projected them forward to say that they are the A category school, A+ category school, and so on. Top 10 ranking and so on, right? Some of the very unintended schools got in. And today the result of it you can see. Many of these schools which we picked up, I'm talking about 2001, 2002, 2003, are today truly the most significant schools. I can name them. IMT Ghaziabad, PhD Institute of Management, your school. These are all schools which are never there in anybody's radar. Tomorrow, I want the same thing to happen. That's the reason why we started bringing the international accreditation perspective to the schools in India. Why I'm saying this to you is that the responsibility for you is very, very high as students, because your performance will ultimately be the basis on which we will be benchmarking how good you are, how effective you are. All right? This is very important. All of you have to really, really put in a lot of effort in order for you to not only take up your good marks. See, today nobody is really bothered about marks because everybody is 90 plus. Do you know what they are bothered about? What's your participation in rest of the schools? What's going on elsewhere? How many competitions that you're participating in? What is your performance at the national level? How many papers are you presenting in various conferences and seminars and workshops, roundtables, and various other things? How many quiz programs are you attending? These are the kind of things that one is looking for. So you have to necessarily pull up your socks, network very well, and show your leadership, because you guys are leaders in that sense of the term. The industry has acknowledged you already are leaders, but then you have to demonstrate that you are one. So next phase will start, international accreditation. There's going to be a lot of work on your side, and we will make sure that your school will definitely receive its international accreditation endorsement as soon as we can, as soon as is physically permissible, right? It's not about the speed, it's about what kind of quality are we gauging, okay? Let's look forward to a lot more of interaction. I will keep coming here and bothering you guys for the next couple of years, maybe, until such time you get your international endorsement. And we will also have a test, because one of the other aspects of Peregrine Academics is that we will be having a test, which is the third-party endorsement of the student learning outcome. This will be done at three different times, so that we will benchmark what has been the progress of your education. That will be one of the most crucial aspects of gauging how good the quality of an institution is, because your scores will be compared with the best in the world. Okay? Best in the world, non-US schools, European schools, IACB accredited schools, ACBSP accredited school, and so on. So we will be having such kind of benchmarks and such kind of parameters. This is the kind of future that we are looking at. And interactions like this will be the order of the day as we go into the future. You will have a lot of collaborations, international students coming in, international faculty coming in. All this is going to happen in your batch. Okay? Look forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I'm thankful to Ms. Robbins to talk to us about 14 characteristics a leader should have, preferable characteristics one should have. And thanks, Mr. Thomas, to talk to us and share your experiences. Thank you, sir, to enlighten us about things related to Indian PSUs and how they were generated and why. So thank you so much for that. I would request JMR, sir, to please come, Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, to please come and propose the vote of thanks.
Dear friends, on behalf of our director, the senior faculty present here, deans, and my dear students, at the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Raman Garu, who is a part of our family, who is our well-wisher, and who is trying his level best to improve our brand image by getting us international accreditations. He is here, brought two learned people, Deborah Robbins and Mick Thomas. We're all you're all allowed to be managers, and as she was rightly said it, you can't differentiate between leadership and manager. They both are interwoven. So we are very thankful to Deborah Robbins for her elucidating